My name is Miss Sarah. I'm excited to be working with Arts for All Florida to bring art into your home. Today, we are going to be working on funky folk art fish collages. We'll work together step by step. This art is inspired by artist Sandra Silversbeig. Sandra creates lots of different kinds of art, and sometimes I find it helpful to look at an artist's whole body of work before we dive into the project. So enjoy the next couple pictures to get a flavor for Sandra's work, and then we'll start creating step by step together. Pretty neat art, huh? Let's think about the things that Sandra's art has in common. She uses bold, bright colors. Look at these eyes. The eyes on her faces, her animals, and her fish are really beautifully done. We're going to break this project into 2 sessions. Here's session 1, make the fish. I have some different size fish templates cut out of just recycled paper. These are old file folders, and there's a template included in the lesson. Depending on the ability of your students, you can do this a few different ways. You can trace around a template with an oil pastel. If it's messy, it's okay. I'm using some scrap paper here, scrap construction paper, cardstock, origami paper. Really, any small scraps of colored paper you have laying around are great. If your student is able to trace the template, they can trace the template and then design a fish. Or you can trace and pre-cut templates. Now I'm going to look at this art for some inspiration. I notice a lot of these fish have a gill line somewhere behind their head, and some of them almost look like they have their bones on the outside. These lines. I'm using the oil pastels, nice and bold, and just kind of adding in different fun designs. These fish don't have to look realistic. Anything is possible in art, and you can use any colors that you want. I saved the eye for last because I'm kind of excited about it. I'm gonna draw, let's see, a little circle, and then a bigger circle, and maybe even a bigger circle. Actually, that's an oval. And then I'll trace around the whole thing. You decide when enough is enough. I'm having fun just adding more and more designs. I see some shapes in some of these fish. Do you see shapes? See the hearts? You can see other shapes in the background. Maybe I'll see if I can have room for one shape. You can make a few different fish. This one's pretty large. Maybe I'll make a few small ones too. So this is step 1. Make some fish. If your student is able to cut out the fish, great. If not, you can cut it out. Students can also add fins and flares. They don't have to follow the template exactly. I'm going to cut out this fish and any others I've made and get it ready for part 2. Part 2 of Funky Folk Art Fish Collage. In part 1, we created fish. Now we're going to safely set them aside where they can't get wet or scribbled on. We're now going to work on our water. Pretend that you can see through these fish to the water behind them. Does it look like regular water? It doesn't to me. It looks full of shapes and different colors than I might see in regular water. Here, let's look at another. This one too. Purple and pink water with shapes running through it. Checkerboard water. Leaves and patterns in the water. This is abstract. So we can really have fun when we're creating our backgrounds. There's lots of different kinds of lines. Straight, zigzag, scalloped, curvy, spiral. There's spots and dots, shapes, bendy lines, and so many more. We're just gonna take our big paper here and use oil pastels to make some different kinds of lines. Have fun. Your lines can be straight, they can have shapes, zigzag. This is going to get covered up with the fish that you drew. Let's look at Sandra's art again and see if there's some other shapes. Ooh, I like that. Let's see if I can use one more color. One more thing. Wow. Got a spiral or two. To adapt this part of the project, a student can simply scribble on this paper and they turn out beautifully. Any abstract design. If you want to make yours more realistic, like the real ocean or springs, feel free. When you've broken up your paper into some interesting shapes, it's time to add watercolor. Add a few drops of water in the paint before you start, and then pick an area to fill in. You don't have to have watercolor paper for these projects. It is expensive, but it does make a difference. If you don't have watercolor paper, cardstock works well, and thicker drawing paper. Ooh, look at that purple. Let's take a look at our reference photo. Wow, it looks like we could use every color of the rainbow in our abstract water. Let's go for it. Let's use some red. I put a little water in the paint. Give it a stir, stir, stir. And then fill in a shape. If I start to run out of paint, I can dip again. Look at that beautiful red. If yours doesn't look like mine, that is no problem. That's a beautiful thing about art. Everyone's looks different. We all have different materials and we all have different creativity. Use some orange in here. Do you notice how I'm just filling up the paper with color? I'm not mixing my colors together. I'm using separate areas of color, but different colors can go all around. They don't have to go in any one certain spot. What have I not used yet? Let's use some green. Fill in here. I think I've used every color in the rainbow. So I'll finish this up and let it dry. And when this is dry, it'll be ready for me to glue my fish into their new funky sea. Okay, last step. You're doing great. You have some beautiful funky fish and you have a beautiful abstract sea. The last thing you have to do is put it all together. Before you take out any glue, spend some time laying out the fish in your collage. Think of the composition that looks best. I'm also thinking of things that I really love in the background and don't want to cover up. I may choose to not use every fish. I think 4 is enough for me here. For the last step, I'll just put a little glue stick on the back. If you don't have a glue stick, you can use glue or some tape. Yeah. So that's it. That's how to make a funky folk art fish collage. You all have done so wonderfully. Thank you for tuning in to this Arts for All series and making art at home. We'd love to see how your creations turned out. I'm just putting glue on the back of each one of these. I'm noticing that that red paint is still a tiny bit wet. It's okay. Voila! Proud of you. Keep making art. Thank you so much.